What is change? Let's assume that your thoughts have something to do with your destiny or your future, that you believe that your thoughts create your life. I mentioned that you think 60 to 70,000 thoughts in one day, and 90% of those thoughts are the same thoughts as the day before. So if you believe that your thoughts have something to do with your future, and 90% of those thoughts are exactly the same as the day before, then it makes sense then your life or your future isn't going to change very much. Because the same thoughts always lead to the same choices. The same choices always lead to the same behaviors. The same behaviors create the exact same experiences, and the same experiences produce the same emotions. And those same emotions begin to influence your very same thoughts. And everything in your biology stays the same. Your neurocircuitry, your neurochemistry, your hormones, and even your gene expression is equal to how you think, how you act, and how you feel. And how you think, how you act, and how you feel is called your personality. And your personality is intimately connected to your life or your personal reality. There's a principle in neuroscience called Hebb's Law. And Hebb's Law says that nerve cells that fire together wire together. So if you keep thinking the same thoughts, making the same choices, demonstrating the same behaviors, creating the same experiences, and producing the same feelings and emotions for the last 10 years, it makes sense then you're going to begin to hardwire your brain into a very finite signature. And that box in your brain, by the time you're 35 years old, becomes a very hardwired set of programs that becomes your identity or personality. And that 35-year-old mark means that most people, by the time they reach that age, become a set of memorized behaviors, unconscious emotional reactions, automatic habits, hardwired attitudes, beliefs, and perceptions that function just like a computer program. So now when a person decides to change, and they're using 5% of their conscious mind to go against what they've memorized subconsciously, 95%, they can think positively all they want, but that thought will actually never make it past their brainstem into their body, because their thought is saying one thing and their body has been conditioned into the past. So I assert that if you're not using your thoughts to be defined by a vision of the future to create a new life, then you're left with the memories of your past, and you will become predictable in your life. So most people then, when they wake up in the morning, they're a clean slate. They're not thinking anything, they're not feeling anything. In a matter of moments, because the brain is a record of the past, they start thinking about those problems in their life that are associated with certain people and certain objects and certain things at certain times and places. The moment they start thinking about those problems, they're thinking in the past because they are memories from the past. And every single one of those conditions or problems has an emotion associated with them. And the definition of a feeling or an emotion is a record of a past experience. And the moment they get in touch with those familiar feelings, and those feelings are driving their thoughts, and you believe that your thoughts have something to do with your destiny, we could say then they're thinking in the past. And as long as they're thinking in the past, their past will always be their future. Now, why does this happen? If feelings and emotions are the end product of past experiences, and you can remember experiences better because you can remember how they feel, we could say then that the stronger the emotion you feel from some problem or condition in your life, the more altered you feel inside of you, the more it's going to wake you up, and you're going to pay attention to what's causing it outside of you. And when you narrow your focus on the cause, the brain freezes an image and takes a picture. And that picture becomes the memory embossed in the brain. Now, People tend to think neurologically within the circuits of that past experience, and they tend to feel within the boundaries of those emotions, which are chemicals. And of course, how they think and how they feel becomes their state of being. And you can say to a person, "Why are you this way?" And they will say, "I am this way because of some experience that happened to me 35 years ago." And what they're saying from a biological standpoint, that 35 years ago they had an event that altered them and they have not been able to change since. Now, the latest research on memory says that 50% of what you talk about in your past isn't even the truth. That memory is creative because you don't have the same brain that you had 35 years ago. And what does that mean? People embellish the memories of the experience to reaffirm the emotion that they are identifying with that keeps them in the past. And in a sense, we could say then, the person is reliving a miserable life that they never even had. And their brain and body, neurologically and chemically, are being further tacked or conditioned into the past. And so people get caught in these loops of thinking and feeling and feeling and thinking for 10, 20, 30, and 40 years. And the redundancy of that cycle of thinking and feeling and feeling and thinking conditions the body to subconsciously become the mind of that emotion. And when the body becomes the mind of that emotion, now the body literally is in the past. And you can't create a new future holding on to the emotions of your past. And in a sense, your body is your unconscious mind. It's objective. It does not know the difference between an actual experience in your life that's creating an emotion and the emotion that you're creating or fabricating by thought alone. It means then that your body is believing it's living in the same past experience 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. To the body, it literally is in the past. So then to change then is to be greater than your body, to be greater than the conditioning of the body living in the past. Now, what do most people do once they reaffirm the thoughts and feelings, their state of being that keep them in the familiar past? They start to crave the predictable future. So, living in the familiar past is living connected to everything known in your life. So then what they do is they reach for their cell phone, they check their texts, they check their Facebook, they post a picture on Instagram, they tweet, they check one email, they check the other email. They checked everything that's known and familiar in their life, and now they're connected to everything familiar in their known reality. And they run through a series of automatic, unconscious behaviors in routine. Now, a habit is a redundant set of automatic, unconscious thoughts, behaviors, and emotions that's acquired through frequent repetition. A habit is when you've done something so many times that your body now knows how to do it better than your conscious mind. So if a person has been living in the same routine for years on end, their body now is on autopilot and it's dragging them as the mind into the predictable future. And they've lost their free will to a program. Now it's no longer that their personality is creating their personal reality. Now their personal reality is creating their personality. And we can say that their environment is controlling how they feel and how they think. So then you say to a person, "Why are you so upset today?" And they'll say to you, "I am upset because of this person or this thing in my life." And what they're really saying is that person or that circumstance in their life is literally controlling their feelings and thoughts. And if that is the case by very definition, it means then that they are the victim to their life. And that is the unconscious program that they're living by. So then, in order for you to change, you're going to have to be greater than the conditions in your environment. And every great person in history knew this. They believed in a future that was already so alive in their mind that they began to live as if that future reality was happening in the present moment. And they share the same brain as you and I. So then to change then, being greater than your environment, means then you have to be greater than the circumstances and conditions in your world. And as long as you're not creating anything new in your life, every person, everything that's already reflected in your brain also then is an experience that has an emotion connected to it. And we can say then, when you're thinking equal to your environment, you'll keep reaffirming and creating the same environment. And finally, to change is to be greater than time. And if a person's living in the familiar past, that is called the known. And to change then is to get beyond the programs of the future and the conditioning of the past and settle into the sweet spot of the generous present moment. That means then you're going to have to be greater than that line of time. And there is a skill and a formula that teach people how to be greater than their bodies, to be greater than the conditions in their environment, and to be greater than time.